Is it working? I don't see anything working.
Here we go.
Oh, there it
Here
goes.
we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. Somebody asked me last week, is that thing even going anymore? Yes, here we are still. We need to do a meetup, that's all, I guess. Anyway, we're going to be talking about marketing and direct mail today. Okay, so let's dig in. Okay, Fishburne writes, the leadership team agreed that marketing should have a seat at the table. And then they got this little high chair. Too funny, not funny. One of his better ones, I think. A sign of a success by any marketers if they get sponsorship around the boardroom table. I agree, 100%. Okay, I like this observation from Abigail Comer, former CMO at Debenhams. I don't know what that is. And it's a reminder of how much the marketing role is an inside job trying to influence the rest of the organization. Okay, Marketing Week reported earlier this month that more than a third of companies don't have a marketer on the leadership team. And it's not just the boardroom, it's just, are you invited to lunch? Are you driving around with the owner of the company or the chairman of the board or something like that? Paul Zane Pilzer talks about walking around. He was the youngest VP at Citicorp, I think, and a real interesting marketing guy. And he was walking around with I think, chairman of the board, and they walked past a little kiosk, and the guy at the kiosk was putting out the stuff that was getting a little stale, pushing it to the front so he'd get rid of it and moving stuff around. And if somebody came that he recognized, he would offer him something that he knew he liked. And he said, how can we do that? How can we mimic the knowledge base that guy has and how he treats his customers across our millions of customers? Very profound question, right? For smaller businesses with fewer than 250 employees, that figure jumps to nearly half don't have a marketer on the leadership team. Often they're poorly understood and not respected. It says, even for organizations with a marketing seat at the leadership table, the marketing function is often poorly understood and disrespected. Not respected, I think it should say. Okay, McKinsey said that people who have a marketer are more likely to have greater than 5% annual growth, which isn't very much, but it's for a big company that's pretty good consistently. For a small company, you really want to have 10 or 20%, but probably not too much more than that, or it'll make you all crazy, having gone through that many times. Yet they also found the impact of marketing was often hampered by the murkiness of the role. The role was perceived by the rest of the organization and how the role is measured, which I think is the probably biggest one. Why I wanted to talk about this article today, especially. When McKinsey asked CEOs versus CMOs at the same company what their top 3 marketing metrics were, what are you measured on? They only agreed half the time. CEOs tended to point at business outcomes like year-over-year revenue growth and margin improvement. Okay, those are the things that CEOs have in their compensation plan, right? They have down there that they're going to get a bonus if we grow the revenue stream or we grow the net profit. Okay, that's the way they're measured. But really, what the board is after, even with the CEO, is they want the valuation to increase. They want the company to be worth more, right? And then they can sell it, and then they can get their money out of it, and or a better return for their investors. That's ultimately capitalism, if you want to know. And I think it's interesting that it isn't mentioned in the article at all, that the valuation. In fact, I was in an early meeting when in my just a couple months ago, and they said, well, tell us about yourself. And I said, I grow valuations on companies. And they were like, what? We've never heard a marketing person say that. Okay, that'll get some eyebrows raised because most marketers don't even know what a valuation is. They don't understand an asset or a liability. They might understand a P&L if they're lucky, right? And in fact, driving around with the owner, we talked about a different way of valuing the way their business is looked at, and it may have a dramatic impact on their growth. Okay, so understand the P&L in your business. Understand what sales really mean to the business. And oftentimes sales, especially if you can get a spike in sales, can dramatically multiply the valuation. If you're just moking along at break even for decades, you're not getting much for the company. But if all of a sudden you can show 10% growth and there's a reason and you can point to that reason. Now, if it's an outside consultant, a lot of times you won't mention that. It's been a characteristic of my career that I've been fired after doubling the company in a couple of months or something, because the valuation was really high and they didn't want to admit that it wasn't really even one of their people. Yeah, okay. Good luck. Anyway, so a lot to think about. And if your CMO doesn't understand any of these concepts, then you better get somebody in there who can speak both CFO, CEO, and marketing. And that's what I've done for a lot of companies, actually. Okay, this is a great one. You have full accountability for this P&L. Great. Where are my controls? You control that one lever. If revenue drops, pull it. This is the big lever here, the big red lever. Okay, big red lever. What does it do? It cuts your marketing budget. And I've seen that too. For Adobe, we took them from 25 million annualized sales to 50 million in about 6 months, and increased the profit per piece. And Adobe, there was a financial crisis in Asia, and Adobe cut the marketing budget in half. And I was scheduled to go from 90,000 a month to 250,000 a month, and that next day they basically canceled it all. You can have a seat at the table as soon as you can back up your marketing ideas with data. Marketing ideas, data, too vague. What you really want is you want to show how your marketing impacts incremental sales, how it boosts sales more than the price of your marketing. Okay, and don't forget that part. I want to go back to this part of it. So CMOs, unlike the CEO, we're often talking about brand awareness, which is not a trivial and unimportant thing. But if brand awareness doesn't translate eventually into long-term increase in sales and profits, then you're not giving the investors what they want, and they're going to laugh at you at the table. Okay, that one I didn't think much of. I didn't think much of that one. Good luck living up to everyone's expectations for the CMO. And so that's the revolving door. Pretty funny, huh? Okay, and that's it. So now let's get over to Mike Gunderson, who always has something worth reading. And the role of direct mail at each stage of a customer's journey. Customer's journey begins with awareness, climaxes with a purchase, and hopefully continues to repeat purchases and evangelism. Direct mail can make each stage more likely that your leads will take the next step. Okay, so from awareness to purchase and beyond, prospects interact with your brand on the way to becoming loyal customers. Maybe. There's been a lot of dispute. Google even said, we know that when a customer clicks, and with some of our clients, we know when they buy, but where they go in the middle is murky, as it said in the last article. Okay, but I do agree with Mike that it can help. Okay, so the first step starts with interest. I'm not sure. For me, I just got rid of two computers, and so now I'm thinking I might need another computer. I'm pretty much driven by need, okay? And you can say, well, a lot of people are driven by fashion or prestige or exclusivity. Yeah, those are all needs, I hate to tell you. And marketing can translate those into needs, okay? So my wife, when I just left her, was trying to shop at Talbot's. She tried to interact with the crazy chatbot, which did not work at all. And I think she gave up on Talbot's and went over to eBay. Anyway, but the fashion need is she's got Easter coming up. This is Orthodox Easter coming up, and wants, to something new. And that's a need for her. Okay. And it wasn't a need a couple of weeks ago because we were in the middle of Lent and you're not supposed to think about that stuff. So I think it often starts with need, or you're interested in something that scratches an itch that you have. Okay. So maybe the weather's warming up and you know that you need some more. I went on a trip a week and a half ago and I thought, I could use some travel pants. And so I ordered 6 pair. I thought I haven't ordered pants in a long time. I think I have a need. Okay. 90+% don't need you at the moment. Okay. Whatever your advertising is, but why mail? Because what we're talking about is, I may not need you right now. You may have a tree service or something. I may not need you right now, but one of these days I may. The tree may fall down in the yard or across the driveway or something, and voila, right? So I agree that interest, but not general interest. And the trouble is, these days with in the old days, you could run a commercial on the Beverly Hillbillies or something that everybody was watching, but now there's nothing that everybody's watching. And since I don't need your product now, 90% of the people don't in your market, don't need it now, don't need it right now, right? Almost nobody does, right? So it's not a bad thing. It's just the way the world works. So you have 2 choices. One, you can try and get to that 10% at the right time, at the right moment with the right product. Pretty much impossible because you don't know what you're going to need next, much less them knowing what they need next. Okay. So the alternative concept in advertising has usually been, well, let's get their attention about our product, that we can meet a need in case they have a need or when they have a need, that they think of us. The alternative, if you're trying for the digital lie about getting in front of your customer at the right time, right, when they're making the buying decision, all your other competitors are going to be there with you. Okay, so you still need to sell. It doesn't solve the problem. Whereas if you're generally getting their attention without being there every time, in a general way, I used to sell an ad campaign for small town newspapers, and it was just funny cartoons that showed people getting injured, but in a kind of a funny way. It was really well done, and it had the tagline, after you see your doctor, bring your prescription too, and it was for little pharmacists. Okay, so this puzzle is a big puzzle, but why is direct mail great? Direct mail is great because you cut through the clutter in a way that digital can't. It comes to my house and I notice it. I have to engage. I have to look it over a little bit. Okay? There's almost no advertising that does that anymore. Okay? Direct mail by its nature gets your attention. We know who it gets delivered to. We know it gets delivered. We know it goes to a decision maker. We know they make a decision. It might be to throw it away. It probably will for 90+%. That's okay, but it gets in their head. Okay, you're trying to put your brand in the customer's mind to make a sale later. Good point, Mike. Mike nailed it. Okay, what interest? And then he does get to need or want. I'm not diminishing his perspective here. He's playing to a digital crowd. He's out there in California. He's got to play with the cool kids. So anyway, so you might have a soft call to action. Visit your website, set up a consultation, something like that. You might want to send to new homeowners. There's got a lot of needs, right, that your company might meet. Okay, and then education, help them decide. Okay, so let's say that now they have the need. How are they going to pick one merchant versus another? Well, if you're in there solid, if you're the plumber with the refrigerator magnet on the refrigerator, you might get the call right now. Okay, marketing might and could and maybe should increase interest. So maybe that fashion, maybe that Talbot's comes, and she showed it to me. You know, had a very, very fashionable young woman with a spring dress on. Yay. Unfortunately, the woman was very tall, and my wife is a little shorter than I am, and I'm not very tall either. Okay, so, you know, it would have been nice for Talbots to show some people that were less or that were average height or below, you know, and say, we have something for you, but they didn't. This part is the consideration stage. Okay, the customer has a problem. Once they know they have a problem, the game changes, right? When the tree falls down, you got to get rid of it. Okay, you can show that you're aware of the customer's problem and have a viable answer to it. I don't think mail is the best once the problem arrives. Probably not, unless you're in their head regularly, and that's why Andrew Ettinger encourages his HVAC clients to mail monthly. Talk about what's going on. Talk about a spring inspection. Talk about a fall inspection. Talk about, or maybe you talk about duct cleaning or something like that. All the way around the year so that when the need arises, you get the call. As much information as possible to help your customer. I'm not sure it's as much information. It's about decision-making information, right? So I lean toward testimonials. Why this company, you know, someone else can say something about you that you can't say about yourself. You know, they cleaned up their mess. They were very fast and efficient, and it was even less than I expected to pay. You know, my brother got his furnace. We worked on his furnace over the weekend, and we were on the right track. Turned out to be a spider in one of the sensor hoses, but there were like 5 of them on his furnace. Mine only has 1, and so he checked 1, but he didn't see the spider. Anyway, but the repair guy was so fast, he said, "I'll just charge you the cost to come over," you know, which was still $150, but Ted was very pleased about it, so that was great. Okay, personalized is still difficult because you don't necessarily know the need exactly. I've seen some mailers recently that came to me for hail damage because there was a big hailstorm came through, and you know that can damage your roof, and then you get your roof re-shingled or something like that. Did everybody have hail damage? No, of course not. But you know, enough people did that it might cause interest. You know, here I just got this piece of mail at the office for asphalt maintenance, and I have some asphalt issues. The 2 neighbors that share the driveway with me, they built huge houses and had big excavators and bulldozers come through and broke up the asphalt. But, you know, I don't want to pay for that. I don't want to take too much of initiative. But on the backside, wow, lawn care. Now, I just put my lawnmower together on Sunday, so I got my first lawn mowing. I took off the snowblower. It's a huge, I have a big tractor and it's a huge project. But they also had mosquito treatment. They had fertilizer application, which I never do because that just means more lawn. Nothing like lawn care and free fertilizer. Everybody that does lawn maintenance should definitely do that. But it also says pest control, and then it's got a coupon for mosquitoes and aeration. And so it's not personalized, but it's got a bunch of offers on it that I can understand quickly with a little coupon marked out. Okay, purchase. Make an offer that provokes action. Coupons are good. They're not necessarily going to say a big deal, although in that case it has got free and a special on aeration. But make an offer that provokes action when they're at the decision stage. Stand out from the competitors. I don't even know competitors for mosquito control. My brother used to live kind of on a swamp, and he had a really issue with that. But you couldn't treat the swamp. It was a protected area. Okay, and direct mail lets you make aggressive offers that are cutting through the clutter, right? That cut through, you know, am I looking for this? Not necessarily. But it came and I looked at it, and I looked at it several times. It might be a coupon, might be time sensitive, which that doesn't seem to be. Full season package, that would be the one thing that we could have added to this, especially the asphalt maintenance. You know, spring is the time when you notice that the winter had a heavy toll Okay, post-purchase. This is one of the things that mail does the best because, first of all, you don't have the privacy rules that you can't contact them after a year or two, which is probably, about the right about when they start tailing off, right? You lose about 60% of the customers in the first year, but after that, it's only about 10% per year. Okay, so you do get a lot. According to Mike or according to Adobe, I did click this link and it's gone. So Mike, you might want to make that available to your customers. 40% of retail revenue comes from repeat customers. That sounds very low. Most of my analysis would say it's more like 80% is coming from repeat customers in catalog businesses, but maybe that's different. Maybe retail. There's a lot of new stores all the time and a lot of them going out of business. So mail is good for cutting through the clutter. Happy customers. This is the one story I knew there was a story in here I really wanted to tell. Okay, so we were working with Lovesac and they had a little catalog and it wasn't doing very well. We got our hands on it. It did much better. But Patrick, the VP of marketing, said, our number one problem is customer recognition. People don't know who we are. They don't know what we sell. Once they know that, we compete well with Williams-Sonoma Furniture and with other furniture, Wayfair Furniture. So why should we be sending stuff to our existing customers when we could be getting new customers with the same money? And I said, that's a great question. Patrick, would you like to know the answer? And he said, you can find out the answer? I said, yeah. And so what we did was we mailed most of them, but we didn't mail like 10,000 of them. And we kept track of who bought again in the not too distant following time period. And it turned out that the incremental differential from the catalog was 300% profit compared to the cost of the piece. So for every dollar we spent, we were generating $3 bottom line profit and about $10 top line revenue. Okay, for every dollar we spent, something like that. And so it was making good money, Well, we noticed when we were doing the match back that there were a lot of very, very similar addresses that weren't matching. And so we loosened up the match. And what we found was that there were a lot of next door neighbors. And for every one order that came from an existing customer, we were getting 2 more orders that were coming from near neighbors. And what we hypothesized was that they were passing it along. Somebody came over for drinks. They said, this is a weird couch. How'd you get it up here? Art, we couldn't get a couch up the stairs, And they say, well, it's a unique product, and hey, I've got a catalog here. This is the company. And away we go. So very huge, very huge. How many ads have you passed on to friends and family? Probably very, very few. Okay, so the fact is direct mail works. Sorry to go so long. I haven't done a show in a long time. Maybe I'll cut this one in half. But have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Bye-bye.